Guys, welcome back to Clockwork and Noodles for another breakdown. This is episode 10 of the case study of Vanitas. This is part 2. We are getting towards the end of this one, and I don't know if we're going to get another season. It seems unlikely, but I'm hoping that in the next 2 episodes we at least wrap up and end on a very good point that doesn't leave me cliffhanging. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Very shortly, I will be releasing my end of season review when I review my entire thoughts of the season as a whole. What are my top 3 anime? What is my hidden gem? I will crown all of those things. I am getting a little bit sick. I am not sick with COVID or anything. I'm just getting ill. I don't have a feeling it's because I'm overworking a little bit. If I do sound a little bit crappy, just forgive me. It's just because I'm a little bit under the weather right now. There is a Discord channel too if you want to get a notification to your phone whenever videos go up. Without further ado, let's get going and make this one easy on my throat. A big FU to this professor. I didn't like him before. I don't like him even more. Just do not like the character. Obviously, big mad props to the voice actor for making him very believable. But I am thankful that they chose not to show us anything, because even listening to the sounds was just unsettling, and I just hate this guy. I was excited initially because it looked like he'd been crushed by a bookcase, but we know he's alive and we know he's been working with my ex-boy Rufy, and Rufy my ex, of course, not my favourite boy anymore, Dante is. We do see the moment that poor Vanitas sacrifices himself. He's already kind of done this because we know he was willingly participating in these events to save other kids. We knew the professor was just grabbing like orphans or something. He was experimenting, and obviously Vanitas is number 69. 9 kids have died beforehand, because that is really bad. But he does suddenly become the Doctor's favourite by sacrificing himself and putting on that noble, I will help you with your cause. And we've seen this already when they first meet each other in the crypts and Noe was there. He acts all warm and very overly sugary just to try and get next to the professor, even though he really just would love nothing more than just to kill the professor or something. But we do see the moment he spares Mikhail from a lot of the torment, despite the fact that they both end up going through the same thing and getting to the same point. But it's very interesting because right now, the reason why we're actually getting the flashback is because of Mikhail's actions, getting Noe to drink his blood to see everything. It's because Mikhail seems to want to interrogate Vanitas about the death of the father, which now makes sense because the blooming vampire is that father. So Vanitas seemingly has killed the vampire. We do see the moment at the end where the vampire dissolves into thin air, so that is him killing him, which is very odd because I wouldn't have imagined he would have had the power to kill a vampire. Even despite being feared amongst the Red Moon vampires, it does seem like a very high status that not anyone could just end and terminate. There are actually 2 books of Vanitas, and both are legit. I was wondering if one was a fraud, and because we'd only heard about one, fair enough that they wouldn't have told us there was a second book or anything. But the books do have the ability to alter the world formula, which is very similar to Chloe's machine that we saw in the first chunk of this section. I do also like the fact that the books just don't open up to anybody. The professor hasn't been able to get his hands on them, which makes me feel a lot better, because I would hate to think what would have happened if he had got his mitts on these books. It's a good thing he didn't rewrite the formula, because I didn't want someone like him to have it in his hand. The experiments in the end was something I figured would be the case, because what they were injecting was blue. It made sense because both of these two now have that marking on their arm, the spider. It looks like a spider web, it's blue, it's crawling up their arms, it's obviously a disease and it's the vampire blood that's within them. He has basically turned them from being human and transformed them somewhere in between. So we're told that they're not human, but they're not vampire either, they're slap bang in the middle. He did this knowing that they could die, they'd be left in a vegetative state. It's showing you even more the cold-hearted nature of this professor, and he may act like a complete goofball, but he is a horrible piece of work and I hate him. We do get another look at the Blooming Vampire this week. The voice for the Blooming Vampire is just silk. I've already mentioned that the voice actor for this character, amazing. The voice, just something about the voice, I don't know if they've been in anything prior or they use this voice often, but it's so slow, so calm, so peaceful. I love the voice for this character, and yeah, I did get the pronoun wrong. So the Blue Man Vampire is called father, so we'll use the he pronoun for the character in general. It could also be a they as well. But now, because they call him father, I will just use the he until otherwise corrected. But We finally see that moment when they both become free from the experiments, free from living a life as nothing more than a number. They finally get to introduce themselves, their names, and the three end up going to follow the Blue Moon Vampire. And we're just told that the professor's teachings, which we already knew were against the church, they wouldn't be chased or anything because they want to cover up the work that he was doing and the fact that it was going on pretty much under their noses. I think, as somebody did put in the comments, that Mikhail went from being there and just accepted that he had run away. They probably want to cover up the fact that they didn't investigate that further. I do think the voice actor for Blue Moon Vampire is absolutely amazing. The artwork and the character design is beautiful. I love that beautiful, shining, shimmering white hair as it's got the sparkles in it. And blue is my favourite colour. Blue is the best colour. So we are meeting Vanitas, the one who carried the name initially. But the Blue Moon Vampire does state that they don't actually have a name that they prefer. Vanitas is just a name given, but it's not one they actually like. It's not one they embody. But it does make sense that the Blue Moon Vampire's blood is blue. Maybe in the West, more in the West, that the term blue blood means that you are regal, you are royal. I'm wondering if that means that this vampire is like a head of a clan or something. I don't know enough about the lore. I'm sure it's been given or there's more in the manga anyway. It does make me think when we do see them seemingly destroyed at the end that it seems a bit weird in my head that a kid could just destroy somebody like this. Introduced to the hatred that Vanitas was carrying when he joined the church, kill the vampires. Finally given that information to why he was with the church in the first place, why he willingly volunteered to join the Chasers. I want to know who the human is that the Blue Moon Vampire was acquainted with. So we're told that a human let them stay in their house, they were acquainted together. I don't know who that was, whether it's somebody that we know or not. But we finally get a look into the parents of Vanitas. Vanitas' mother died in childbirth, which we know has had a torment on him because he definitely hates himself. He's unable to take compliments, and I think it's more the fact that he blames himself for the death of his mother. So giving birth to him caused her to lose her life. We are told that the father was from quite a high-standing family. He was a doctor from a good family, but he ended up abandoning that family when he fell in love. They ended up with that travelling show. Now, they said that it's not like a circus. If anything, the first thing that did jump to my mind was the charlatans parade, that kind of thing, but I don't think it is anything like that. But it's very interesting how Vanitas as a character, his father was killed by vampires, and we've already met Astolfo, whose parents and brother were killed by vampires. We've seen how Astolfo has turned out by hatred, consumed by hatred and rage and wanting to destroy every last vampire. It's very scary to see that Vanitas could have very easily became like Astolfo. Even when we do hook into where we are right now in the story, when we're just being picked up by the vampire, he still hates vampires. At this point, he loathes them. He wants to create a clean world without them. He ended up joining the Chasseurs to achieve that goal, a world of rid of vampires, remove them all. It was through the professor's experiments that were heartless and cruel that's when he learned that both of them were equally the same as each other. And I think we've already heard him state this, that both humans and vampires, they're pretty much the same. He doesn't like either of them, so he's somewhere split down the middle that they're both equally the same. Thus, he's trying to save. And we're also told again that he was bribed into staying to protect other kids because we do see Vanitas as a very kind person who sacrifices himself. He wants to make sure nobody else is harmed. But Vanitas is unable to see this. Maybe it's through the fact that he blames his mother's death on himself, and that's something that he can't forgive himself, even though his father did forgive him and actually tried to protect him at the end. Maybe he blames himself for the death of both of his parents. I do believe that the Blue Moon Vampire and Boji from Ranking of Kings should never be allowed to cook, and I'm going to sanction both those characters right now to never cook for me. The slop they both create is purple. Let's put them on the same page. Boji and the Blue Moon are probably taking lessons from the same school of cooking. The brutal beatdown of the Blue Moon Vampire, of her housekeeping skills, her cooking keeping skills. This scene really made me laugh. It was the only light-hearted moment in the anime this week, and I appreciate moments like this because I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting the brutal beatdown and her suddenly going into a corner, the comic sound of the spoon hitting the floor as she's just like, fine, do it yourself, whatever. I wasn't expecting the sulking, and I just love that character even more. The Blue Moon Vampire really started to grow on me at that point because I wasn't expecting them to be like this. And this character wasn't willing to make them vampires initially. Like, you can't join my clan unless you ask for it. That is a really nice character, that you're not pushing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. But we are told that both of them one day will die. But that's due to the professor, not due to the Blue Man Vampire. It's due to what the professor has done to them. He has doomed them to die because of what he's done to their bodies. It's also stated that they could possibly become a vampire at the end. Blue Moon Vampire states that I could save you if you want to become one of my clan. You could join it. We do see that they have a very happy childhood together. They're very happy. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of moments when they're together, and they're just a family unit, and it's really, really nice. And that's obviously when we hear a term father. Mikhail is trying to find out why Vanitas killed father. The offer to join the clan is proposed but not pushed. We do see two different responses. So Mikhail is happy to accept it because we do see him literally coughing up blood. Then coughing up the blue blood at the end is a sign that he did take it and he chose to become a vampire, maybe. Put a question mark on that for now. I'm sure next week we'll actually clarify this. I would say that I feel like I'm on the right tracks because the Mikhail we're now seeing isn't coughing up blood. He's definitely not dying anymore. So whatever he's done has stopped him from dying. And he seems to be glowing as well. When we saw him initially, he was very sparkly. And that was very similar to when we saw the Blue Moon Vampire initially with the sparkles all around them. Vanitas doesn't do that. We do see that Vanitas rejects it. And that's also when we get the scene of the Blue Moon Vampire dissolving, seemingly dying at his hand. I'm shocked that he had that power to destroy them. So I've got a lot of questions. A very good episode, but I feel sad because we are learning it indirectly. We're learning it not with permission from Vanitas. We're learning it because Noe is being forced to do this. He's had his hand forced to learn about the history that was Vanitas and Mikhail and all of this together. So I feel bad because the audience is indirectly learning, but not with permission from the character itself. I had a good episode. I thought it was very interesting, and I'm in love with that character, the Blue Moon's Vampire's design. It's really beautiful. I can't wait to see where the story goes. We've only got 2 episodes left. I really hope we end at least in a good place where I can go, this is a good stopping point. I don't feel bad. I don't hunger for more, and I'm not in a cliffhanger or anything. Have a good day, guys. I hope you're looking after yourselves. Make sure you take care of yourselves and don't get sick. Bye-bye.